Hello and welcome back to my second video of the day. This is wildcard draft for Game Week 19. Now, so many people are like how I always used to run, and I always used to love playing my wildcard at Game Week 19. Now, the reason why I haven't done that this year is because of the fact that last year when I did it, I was inside the top 10,000 teams and absolutely butchered it when I wildcarded. Like, my team was going so well that I felt like I was obliged to play my wildcard, and I changed my team up, and from then on it went down south, and I ended up finishing just outside the top 100,000 teams. So this year I played it in game week 12, which seemed like a much more logical place to play it. I am sitting about just outside the top 20,000. Probably after today's games it might go closer to top 30,000, but at the moment I'm inside the top 20 still at this current point in recording this video. Now, Game Week 19 is such a nice time to play it because if you get issues, like we've just seen this week, there have been a host of suspensions, a host of red cards. It's not an ideal time. You've got injuries on top of that as well, like Saka and that, and maybe you have been holding it together to press that wildcard active button for the first time this season, and this is the last time you can do it. Now, if you are one of those people that are like, I'm just going to hold it, you lose it. It gets overtaken by a second one. So if you haven't played it, play it this week. You need to press it, especially if you're a new player. That's what you need to do. Make sure you press that button today because otherwise you're going to miss out on some of the price rises as well. So look, there are plenty of things to cover. Please make sure you like the video and subscribe if you are new. This obviously isn't relevant for anyone, but obviously from next week onwards, we can all play our second wild card. So it is quite relevant. I don't think many people are going to be playing it in Game Week 20, but you never know. Some people's teams may need some horribly reconstruction. So without further ado, let's get into what I'm thinking ahead of a Game Week 19 wildcard draft. Now, the wildcard draft does change from week to week based on the fixtures and what happens and all the other stuff. So Man City and Tottenham fixtures improved, but they are both in a horrible run of form. Man City have now won one game in their last 12. I think it might have been up to 13. I've actually lost count by how many games they've played that they haven't won. I think it's actually 13 now. And look, Foden was actually the pick of the team yesterday. Unfortunately, he was just playing with 10 other blokes out there that were just no good, that couldn't finish. Haaland, chief culprit. So for that reason, Haaland does not make this draft. I've only done one draft this time. Last week I did two because obviously Saka was gone. But you can't justify spending 14.8 on Haaland when the dude is just rank out of form. He looks horrible. Like, I actually think that they should just bench him and put Kevin De Bruyne or Foden up top and play it that way for a couple of weeks. He looks so shot of confidence. I don't know what the answer is, but he's not in form. And even though they've got Leicester up next, it's hard to recommend bringing in Haaland for that. So for me, Foden is definitely the pick. And I obviously bought Foden into my team for Saka, and I think he is still really good. And that will be the case when I go through my wildcard draft this week. Now, Bruno obviously has been out. It's highly frustrating. A lot of people bought him in for Saka. I obviously had them both, so I never actually had to bring Bruno in. But it's still just as frustrating because I've also got Ahmad. So double up Man United midfield. I've now got one on the bench, and then when Bruno's back off suspension, they've both got Liverpool. It doesn't look flash, and I think potentially in this draft he's gone, and this is potentially where I'll go with my actual team as well, where I would like to go. There's only 4 changes to my actual team that I would do in this wildcard draft this week. So what you do need to be aware of, though, is Palace, Arsenal, Chelsea, Bournemouth, Man City, Liverpool, Fulham, Man City fixture runs. They're all going on. I've just realized I've written Man City in there twice just because of the fact that originally I think one of them was Man United, and I was like, Man United are not in a good fixture run, mate. They are cactus. Just put a line through their season. They are cooked. Even though I think they've still got some relevant assets in the midfield. Other than that, they just look god awful. Defensively, you just got to get rid of them. If you've got defenders in there, just get them out. So look, it is time to spend up big in the forward line. Isak is a must. He is probably close to the most must-own essential player you need in your team outside of Salah and Palmer. You have to be rocking Isak. That dude just is in such a hot streak of form. Realistically, Cunha would also be making this list, but we still are expecting him to be banned at some point by the FA. We don't know how long it's going to be for, and if you don't have him, it's really hard to recommend bringing him in. So for me, he probably would make this team instead of Solanke, but because he's probably going to be banned, and we don't know for how long, he's not in the team. Drafts, again, also do come down to personal preference and team value. You can't have everyone, and working out what the strategy is that you want is very important. Now, the template draft is Salah and Palmer and Isak. That's all. Those 3 players, I think, are all must-haves. Outside of that, it's very much down to you where you want to go and how you want your team to look. So let's get into what I think is potentially the right play. And I don't really know what the right play is, but this is my personal preference for this week. So hopefully it helps you lot all out. So as you can see there, that is my current team as it stands. I've made no transfers this week. I made, obviously, Alisson, Becker and Foden came in for Verbruggen and Saka last week. Bruno Fernandes, as you can see, is the only red flag outside of Fabianski, who I'm expecting to miss. But I've got Becker in there and he's got West Ham. So Fabianski was always going to be on the bench this week regardless. So that's just how that is. When I go up here, and I'm just going to quickly show you, so my pick team. And from here, you can see my current ranking, 19,269. That's prior to the other things and that. But my team value is now 106.5. So it's gone up slightly from last week. Hasn't gone up much because the transfers I bought in didn't actually go up in price. Phil Foden's now gone up in price and a few others. But I do have the players that are quite expensive and I have a lot of team value tied up in them. But for that reason, that's just how my team looks. So just really quickly, I'm going to show you the most transfers in this week as well. So Saka and Fernandes lead the way with transfers out still. Haaland is a very close third, which is insane. He just keeps continuing to get sold. It's like so many people have held on for these run of fixtures and he just absolutely stuffed it up by missing a penalty. Lots of people are moving out Nicholas Jackson. I'm not sure why. I think he's fine. Chelsea's run is still really good and they've got a nice fixture up against Ipswich up next. I'm expecting Jackson to return in that one. Isak, obviously, everyone's just bailing in for him. Now, Cunha as well. Lots of people obviously transferring him, not realizing that he is likely still to get banned. If you get charged, there is a ban coming. It's just a matter of when that is. And I'm surprised it's taken the FA this long to do it. Maybe they'll wait till the new year to actually issue him the ban and he'll get the Tottenham game as well. But there's no guarantee. Gordon, obviously, a very popular transfer in. Aina and Palmer. Again, if you don't have Palmer and Salah, those are the two players you really want. So moving into my squad at the moment, and it is what it is. So the players that I don't like, this is the actual team I would go with. So I would be getting rid of Jurriën Timber and bringing in Gabriel with the extra money I've saved from dropping Bruno to Anthony Gordon. I'm then upgrading João Pedro to Solanke. And that's it. That's the only changes I'll be making from my current team, which is 3 transfers. Like, that's how happy I am with my current squad. Like, they've all got long-term, and everyone goes, oh, don't you want double Arsenal defense, double Liverpool defense? No, I don't, is the honest answer. I think we've seen this season that quite often, if a team blanks, you're unlucky. Like, a lot of people rocking like Trent and Alisson or Trent and Van Dijk yesterday. What'd you get? 4 points. Meanwhile, I had Hall playing, who got 6. And then I had Kirkes play, who got 6. I had Colwill play, who ended up getting 4 with the assist, because I conceded twice. Robinson was the unlucky one yesterday, and I did bench him, and I thought that the Chelsea-Fulham game would have goals for both teams. And then I've got, obviously, Jurriën Timber in my team, who we're not yet to play because I'm recording this prior to that game going ahead. But Gabriel's definitely the best defender in the game as far as I'm concerned in terms of the value for money and what you're going to get for him. Now, you could easily make Gabriel Milinkovic if you don't have the team value. He is a really good option, and he has the same sort of underlying data as Gabriel. So I'll quickly show you what I'm talking about here. So Gabriel there for the season is on 0.15 expected goals, 0.04 expected assists. Now, he's got 73 points for the season. Now, if we have a look at Milinkovic, he has 71 points for the season, just below him, a fraction of the price. So 1.7 million less he's going to cost you. And he has 0.16 expected goals, 0.03 expected assists. So he's actually slightly better than Gabriel. I did get that right? I'm sure I just got that right. Let me have a look. Yeah, so he's got 0.1. Oh, no, it's actually the same. Gabriel's got slightly more assist threat. Milinkovic has got slightly more goal threat, but is literally a hair splitting them together. So obviously then, for me, it is still trying to keep the template midfield or the 3-man midfield. Now, the reason why I like Foden is because when Saka does come back, it's going to be much easier to transfer Phil Foden up to Saka. Potentially, Saka might be out for 5 or 6 weeks. Then it becomes a bit of an irrelevant question, and then maybe I do move Foden down. But at the moment, I don't really want to be spending the money in the defense. All my defenders look pretty good. All got decent fixtures. They all rotate quite nicely with each other. So Fulham, as we have a look there, have a really nice run of fixtures. Really only the Newcastle away game looks hard for the foreseeable future. I then got Hall, who obviously has the Tottenham away fixture and then the Man City away fixture in Liverpool. But other than that, he looks really good for a long time. Colwill, probably the player I'm likely to play the least. He has quite often ended up on the bench. But for the foreseeable future, it's just Man City away and Aston Villa away that look difficult on paper. And obviously got an assist on the weekend as well, which is an added bonus. Kirkis is the one that is coming up with a harder run of fixtures. Potentially he could be moved out for someone else. But Bournemouth are playing so well. There's a reason why they're so high up in the league. Potentially he might become a Nottingham Forest defender. Because obviously Nottingham Forest, as I've just talked about, have a nicer run of fixtures compared to like Chelsea away, Newcastle away, Forest at home, Liverpool at home. That's a pretty tough run of fixtures, those 4 game weeks. So again, that's somewhere where I could potentially move. And that's something you need to factor in. But and then when it comes to the forward line, I think you do have to spend up, which is why I've gone with Solanke, Nicholas Jackson and Isak. Isak's just in some unbelievable form. He's just so good. The last 5 weeks, 19, 30, 47, 55 points in the last 5 weeks alone. That's insane. Like, he's made up so many points on where he started at the start of the season. Nicholas Jackson's still fine. He's obviously just got to get through the Ipswich game without a yellow card, and he's not going to get a ban, and then it's all systems go. The last 2 weeks have been disappointing in terms of his expected goal involvement and stuff like that. But with Ipswich away, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, Wolves, it's still a really nice run for Chelsea, and I'm expecting returns in there. Now, the only reason why Dominic Solanke gets in here is because João Pedro, for me, has just been bang average, like Brighton have been. There is a chance that he might return it around, and you could potentially save the money here and just bring in João Pedro instead, or a cheaper option. But Dominic Solanke plays 90 minutes every week, which means that he's likely to keep ticking over. He's not scoring massive amounts of points, but he is ticking along with an assist or the odd goal every week, well, every other week. And that's pretty good. At 7.5, he's not stupidly expensive as well. So look, that would leave me with 0.1 left in the budget. So that is what you can do with 106.5 team value. That's the kind of draft I will be looking to set up. Now, obviously, if you do have less team value, you could look at Martin Sells in goal, a Jordan Pickford in goal, a Dean Henderson in goal. In terms of Gabriel, he could become a Lenkovic. That saves you 1.7 mil right there. Again, with the midfield, maybe you don't have Foden, maybe it's an Odegaard instead. You save a little bit of money there, but you do have to have Salah, Palmer, and Isak. They are non-negotiables in any wildcard draft. So if you're wildcarding in Game Week 19, let me know if I'm missing anyone that you really like the look of. Yes, I'm only playing with the one budget player in the forward line, but the forward line is where all the points have been this season. The defense have been pretty underwhelming for most of it. Just judging from the fact that Aina is the top scoring defender of 81 points tells you all you need to know about how well the defense have gone this year. So yeah, let me know. Make sure you press like on the video and subscribe if you're new. And I will join you tomorrow for transfer tips and team selection. And then hopefully I'll be able to do a deadline day stream potentially from Manchester. It just depends on the hotel I'm staying at and whether the internet's any good. Otherwise, I won't be able to do one. So apologies in advance. Thanks for watching. That's been FPLD Unit.